Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Boss Rush Video Game Book Club, the Boss Rush podcast monthly spoilercast and review discussion show about the games that you voted on. I am one of your hosts, Patrick PK Power Klein, and alongside me is my co-host, who I know as the girl that will do anything and never give up for any of her friends. But the rest of the world knows her as just Taylor.
Hi everyone! I'm excited to be back.
Awesome. Welcome back, Taylor. How you doing?
I'm doing really good, actually, because it's Friday and I'm really tired, so I'm excited to talk about the game and enjoy the weekend.
I am 100% in that boat. And also in the boat with us, we have a very special guest. His name is Josh. Josh, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thank you. Glad to be here.
Josh, who are you and why are you here?
So I am Taylor's older brother. I'm kind of here because she just wanted a second opinion on this game because there's definitely some mixed stuff about it. I've played through it about 4 times now, so I'm hoping to give some more insight onto it.
Yeah. No, we're excited to have you. I'm excited to hear kind of how this dynamic worked because apparently y'all played this game together.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, it was.
We 4-player co-op this whole game.
Yeah.
That is absolutely crazy in my mind. I've never heard of anyone like. I know it's possible, but I've never heard anyone like co-op a Tales game before. So I would love to know like the dynamic of this. So like, how does this work? Do you guys like do voices? Do you pretend you're different characters, or like?
Right there we go.
Yep. So tell me about how this game plays as a like co-op. Because like, what do you do? Do you all like assign each other characters? Do you do voices? And like, I need to know how this works.
No, we don't. Because we've been doing a lot of Tales of Games co-op since we were like younger. Because like the first one we played was Symphonia. Same thing, we played that all together. Was me, my brother Josh, and then my sister Amanda, and occasionally one of his friends from high school. And that just kind of became our tradition because we played Abyss together. I moved away, but Amanda and Josh continued playing games together. So pretty much any game that was like any Tales of game that is co-op, they've played. Like we played with our siblings, so for us that's normal. But no, we just each pick one character and we pretty much play that character for the whole game, so that's usually how it is. So I usually play the healers if there's a healer available, just because I feel like relying on a computer or AI to heal isn't the best. Because I know, so I played Sharia in this one.
Mhm.
And we played it on the hardest difficulty, right? Is it the hardest one,
Yeah.
Josh? What,
Yeah.
master?
So you start off at hard,
Mm-hmm.
and then after you do a certain amount of battles on hard, you unlock evil difficulty. And then after you do a certain amount of battles on evil, you unlock chaos. And chaos is the hardest difficulty.
Yeah, so
Oh,
we were playing throughout the whole game on chaos. Once we unlocked it, I think we played throughout the whole game on chaos,
Yeah,
which made it
we
fun.
never downgraded.
Yeah, made it very challenging, but it also made it better that I was a healer because I think there was one time I was really tired and I went to bed early, and I heard from Amanda and Josh that Sharia computer AI was like really stupid and horrible and was having them all die in battle. So, but yeah, our dynamic is pretty much Josh was always first player. He always plays the main character, main person, and he's the one who goes around all the towns and talks to all the NPCs and just controls us in the overworld. So he's always player one. Um, and then everyone else is just player 2, 3, and 4. And I tried to play Sharia throughout the whole game if I could. Manda was I forgot who she played already.
Hubert.
Hubert, yeah, but it took a while to get him. Jonathan, which is Manda's boyfriend, I feel like he had to play like a million different characters because, like, ever like the fourth person kept changing out of, he'd have like, someone one time and then they would disappear in the story. Then he would have to be Sophie, and Sophie would disappear, then he'd have to be someone else. So he was like rotating through characters and stuff like that.
Sounds like he would do a great job in the tower then, because he'd be master of all.
That's true.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would say that's pretty much our dynamic, I guess, when we play.
Awesome. Was there anything that Josh would do that would purposely annoy you in the game? Like maybe talk to the same character over and over again, or like, no?
No, no. We were
Okay.
doing like very much a completionist run. So I'm glad he was first player because he was doing all the side stuff and trying to unlock all the cutscenes for us and do all the extra stuff. So I'm glad he was in charge. I
That
didn't have
is
to worry about
awesome.
that. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the main goal was to try and get like all the side content done so we could access all the post game bonus content.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not sure how that's gonna pan out considering the Switch 2 comes out next week. And
Yeah.
we all
Okay.
know once that comes out, we're never touching this game again. Unfortunately.
We are going to try to finish the post game stuff this weekend. So,
Yeah. No, we got to talk about that too because, as much as I love Tales games, finding the post stuff is like finding a needle in a haystack, in my opinion. It's like, okay, I started fighting the chroma dragons, and like I'm not sure exactly what, I was supposed to do after that, so it's like I'm not sure where to go to just kind of get some of these things to be finished. It's
Yeah.
very old school in that tradition. So, but yeah, it's really cool that, you guys are able to play as a family, and that it all like you guys worked really well as a team. That's really awesome.
Yeah,
mhm.
I'm hoping the next Tales of game they announced this year has co-op because we were not happy that Arise was solo experience only.
Mm. Yeah, it'd be curious because if they like kind of stick with the more action approach
Mhm.
that a lot of RPGs seem to be going these days. But
It
yeah,
is weird though because the PC version for Tales of Arise, people were able to mod in a co-op for it, and it runs
interesting.
flawlessly. It runs just like the old Tales of games. So it's kind of interesting that they didn't opt to do it officially.
Mhm.
Huh. Well then, I don't know. Maybe it's just laziness on the developer end then.
I guess we'll never
Like,
know.
we're just gonna get this game out. Oh, but all we have to do is flip the switch and it's co-op. Nope, nope. We're just getting the game out.
My theory is because this a Tales of Arise was developed during COVID, and we think
Oh,
COVID
yeah.
ended up causing them to take a lot of shortcuts.
Mhm.
You know what? That could be fair. I can accept that answer. All right. Well, before we jump more into this game, I have to do just a quick little bit of housekeeping here. If you want to support the Video Game Boss Rush Book Club and the Boss Rush podcast, you can go to our Patreon at patreon.com/Boss Rush Network and subscribe at the tier that you want to subscribe at. It will give you access to exclusive pre and post shows, question threads for our Spotlight podcast, early access to our After Dark, and other expansion content. And although your viewer and listenership is enough for us, please subscribe to us at the Boss Rush Network on YouTube and like this video. And if you're listening to us on Apple or Spotify or any of those other podcast review sites, please leave us a rating and a nice review on those platforms. And then you can also visit our website at bossrush.net to find all of our banters, features, listicles, reviews, and much more. We have extensive PAX East 2025 coverage out there right now. And we are currently getting a lot of interviews with developers from those indie games. So stay tuned for some of that stuff. It's going to be exciting. Uh, well, the game that we have today, as we've been kind of already talking about, is Tales of the Graces F Remastered. What do you guys think the F stands for?
Future.
I don't know.
That's pretty much it. Like I think even I don't know if it was actually confirmed, but I'm pretty sure the F meant future.
Future. Why is it lowercase though?
I don't
Like,
know. That's the weird thing.
it's almost like it's designed to be kind of like a forte in like music, but the game doesn't really have anything to do with music.
No,
So
Yeah.
it's
that's
like,
a good point though.
I don't know. It's Japan and they love to do their interesting naming conventions.
Yeah.
hmm Well, Tales of the Graces F Remastered came out this January of 2025. So January 17th, 2025. And it came out on the Nintendo Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox X Series, and the PC. This was redeveloped through the Namco Tales Studio, and it is currently sitting at an 82 on Metacritic, which surprises a couple of us, and we'll find out why in our spoiler free discussions. Now, I know Taylor has been dying to
Oh
get this off
no.
her chest, so we'll let her rip the band aid off here. Taylor, what'd you think of Tales of Graces?
um Man, I feel bad saying it. I already said it on Twitter. I feel like I offended some people, but I also had some people agree with me, so I don't feel so bad. Um, but in my opinion, I told people I think this was the most boring JRPG I've ever played in my life. I
And we
did
just
not
lost Taylor.
like it. Wait,
Just
really?
kidding.
Oh.
Nope.
Goodbye. We don't want to hear your opinions. um, I did not like it. No, I'm a big fan of the Tale series. Kind of like we were saying, we've played through them. And I feel like the ones I have played, I've loved. And I'm used to the stories being really well done, not, straightforward, not predictable. Usually there's like side stuff going on, plot twist, and this was the exact opposite of this. I feel like we called everything that was going to happen within like the first hour of the game. Like it was just, to me, it was completely straightforward. There was no plot twist at all. Every reveal you called so far in advance. So not a single reveal shocked me. But it was very predictable and not exciting. I also did not feel any attachment towards like any of the characters. So for me, this was definitely a slug to like play through. It's very hard for me to play through because I just did not like the story or the characters. I was just not interested whatsoever. But I will say what made it fun is playing with my siblings and Jonathan, because every time we played, the whole time it was just making jokes, making fun of stuff, making up our own stories. And as we were going, we were just saying the most random, silly stuff. Like Jonathan was creating memes based on stuff we were talking about because we were just having fun with the game. And I feel like if it wasn't for them, I probably would not have beaten the game. Like I feel like if I was playing it by myself, I would have stopped playing it. But yeah, playing with my siblings and Jonathan made it super fun. Like we were just laughing every single time we played it. It was insanely entertaining. Um, Playing on chaos mode made it very fun because then that made it challenging, and I like games that are like a challenge. So every single time we fought a boss, we did die a lot on most bosses because chaos mode is insanity, and a lot of bosses summon minions, and then they're all hitting you for like a bazillion damage, and it's just like, oh, we're dead. So some bosses we died like 20 times, some we died like 10, some of them we killed first try. The ones with no minions we killed first try, but
You,
the ones with minions
you
we
must
always
have
died.
loved the slime boss. That was like kind of in the beginning.
Well, when we get to that chapter, no, that was the most hilarious boss fight. Yes, that was not a good time. um, but yeah, so to me, that was my favorite part throughout the game too. Was just doing boss fights. I will say what kept me entertained personally as the healer was learning new healing spells. That was the most exciting thing for me every single time we played. Like, yeah, I just remember when I found out I could learn like resurrection or revitalize or nurse. It was just like my goal to get those spells. And I would learn them, and it was the most exciting thing in the world. And I was so excited to max out the titles, like to get like, revitalize adept and revitalize master. I don't know. To me,
Mhm.
that was just so exciting to me. Like every time I learned a new spell, I was like, "Oh my god!" And then every time it was like, "You got whatever adept or whatever master," I was like, "Yeah!" And like the bonuses weren't that good because like resurrection, the it's a really small circle, and I think
Mhm.
after you get adept or master, it increases by like what it was like 20%, but it's so small that 20% is like, oh, tiny tiny
Some of
bit bigger circle.
even some of the bosses are weird too. Are like, oh, if you're dying, you heal more. And it's like, well, if you're on the hardest difficulty, you're getting one shot, so it doesn't matter if you're dying or not.
Yeah. Um the best spell to max out in my opinion to get mastered was revitalize. I think that was the big one, right?
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
revitalize. Yeah.
Mhm.
When you get the mastered title, because I think that was an additional 20% area and stuff. It's huge. Like revitalize is freaking ginormous. I swear to God, it takes up like 90% of the field. So it's like it didn't matter who I was healing, everyone would get healed because it was so big. So it's like I could just heal one character and it was like no matter where you are, everyone is healed. So I think that's why it was exciting to me as the healer because I was like, bigger heal field. So that was what made me enjoy the game, just because I didn't like the story. So I found entertainment in learning spells and mastering titles. Um, and yeah, I guess those are my thoughts. I don't know. I don't have too much to say about the story and stuff because, like I said, I didn't like it. So
Mhm.
that was my experience of the game.
Josh, how about you? How did your experiences compared to Taylor?
It's kind of somewhere. So my initial impressions are kind of weird because I've played the PS3 version multiple times. But
Mhm.
yeah, the story is extremely forgettable. I've played through this game 4 times. Even I can't remember the story for the most part, other than oh, this happened. Right, I remember this part now. Um, the game's combat is basically like what drives this game to even be remotely good, and there's a reason why this game is widely lauded as like the best the best game combat wise in the franchise. Just because like um you can chain everything. You can do all your physical attacks into magic attacks. You can mix match. You can go magic into physical. You can like sidestep to regain your um, combat prowess.
Hmm.
It's just yeah. It also encourages a very aggressive playstyle,
Mhm.
but otherwise the story is just it just wasn't it. When I was replaying the PS3 version while we were playing the remastered version, I just skipped everything. I just did not care. I just wanted to get to the combat. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of it from my initial impressions. Story's forgettable.
Mhm.
Combat is really good, and generally why people say this game is good, only because of the combat. That's it.
Mhm. Well, I will definitely echo your both of your agreements here. It's like Josh, I played the PS3 version when it first came out. I remember borrowing my friend's PS3. Like it was my friend and I had an interesting like relationship in that way that he had the PS3 and I would occasionally buy a PS3 game and then he'd let me borrow his system so that I can play it and then in return I'd give him the game when I gave back the system.
Hmm.
Just because I didn't want to buy my own PS3, they were like $600 at the time, and it's like, I'd rather not.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, it's same deal. Like I remember I played this game, and I remembered. like literally 5% of maybe everything in the game. I remembered like kind of who the villain was, but that was about it. Um, so it was nice to be able to replay that again and like spark those memories. And then by sparking those memories, I remembered why I forgot about it in the first place. It's forgettable.
No,
Yeah. Go
no,
ahead.
that's fair. Because like the only reason why I was excited to play this game was just because playing with my sisters and Jonathan. Like
Mhm.
every time a Tales game came out, I'm like, oh man, it has co-op. Man, this is gonna be so much fun.
Mhm.
This is gonna be great. We're all gonna like die a million times on the hardest difficulty, but we're gonna have a really fun time with it.
That's awesome that you guys played it on the highest difficulty. I jumped on the moderate difficulty, and I think I did that only because this game allowed you to get modifiers in the beginning. Did you use any of the modifiers at all?
No, we did not. That was actually a complaint I had just because I
Oh,
feel like that's cheating. Because in previous Tales games, you had to beat the game first, and then on New Game
Hmm.
Plus, you had grade to buy stuff. And we thought it was odd on the remaster that your very first file, there's enough points to buy everything in the whole shop. And I was like, it's kind of cheating. Like you could do what 5 times or 10 times EXP like on your first playthrough.
Hmm.
But I don't think we used any modifiers, right, Josh?
uh, not like the game breaking ones. We did do like more money,
Oh yeah.
Hmm.
more a higher drop rate, um, better shard qualities for like the dualizing system. But like we didn't do anything
Hmm.
like 3 times SP, 10 times EXP. We didn't do like any of the super OP stuff.
You just basically made the farming less farming and grindy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm kind of
Yeah.
indifferent about it. Like I understand why they did it because they wanted to like, you know, broaden your audience. Because like if people have never played a Tales of game or whatever, then here you get access to everything. So it makes it easier to like ease them into the game. Um,
Hmm.
I'm also kind of indifferent just because of the whole difficulty system. Like even though like if you play on because you can play on easy and you can just steamroll the game without any modifiers.
Hmm.
But if you want to do like the 10 times EXP or whatever, there's always chaos because chaos is designed around the grade shop.
Hmm.
When I was replaying through the PS3 version, I realized that uh when I beat the main story, I was like in the 90s, and the final boss was in the 90s on Chaos. So it's very clear that Chaos was balanced around New Game Plus or the Grade Shop. So for us playing on Chaos and not having those modifiers, it made the game a lot harder.
Yeah. I don't know
Oh,
how people would do chaos by themselves though. Just because I brought up the Sharia AI thing, like
hmm.
I don't know. Like I said, Amanda and Josh just said the computer AI is so bad with healing and stuff. So I just feel like
Yeah.
we were
The
lucky that we could play
Yeah.
together.
yeah, the AI is not great. There was one part where we were trying to start the post game, and the Sherry AI would always dodge the enemies and start casting point blank on them, and then just get one shot.
Hmm.
We're like, Sherry, what are you doing?
Focus on the healing. I even have you focus on healing.
Yeah,
Well,
why are
I
you running into the enemies and then dying?
Well, I think one of their complaints was Manda was telling me Sharia would be in the middle of healing and then she would randomly like cancel and dodge and then start again and cancel and dodge. But Manda was saying there was nothing for her to really dodge, is what she told me. So she just said Sherry just kept canceling, starting, canceling, and starting for no reason. It's like, oh boy.
The AI's priority system is really jank. If like if the healer is like player 4 and like player 3 dies, she'll start casting res on the player 3. But if player 2 dies, she'll cancel and start casting on player 2. And if player 1 dies, she'll cancel and start casting on player 1.
Hmm.
And it's like, just
Yeah.
finish your cast. What are you doing?
It's like, you know what? I am just commanding someone to use an item here. You are
Mhm.
useless right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I,
Yeah.
I, I did have to control the healing a lot on my side. Because like Sharia would like jump into danger and then just die, and it's like, okay, well, let me give myself a gel first, and then like in 5 seconds, I will be able to bring one of you guys back to life again.
Yeah, I think that's why I always volunteer to be healer when we play Tales games. So I'm like, I'll be the one to help us stay alive.
Your contributions did not go unnoticed. So yeah, that's kind of our spoiler-free impressions. Great combat, not so great story. Um, so we are going to jump into our spoiler section. So you have been warned. Now is the time to go and play the game, or if you prefer just to listen to us, stay tuned. All right, guys. The story starts off as two little kids going up into a hill, doing something that they probably shouldn't be doing, just like good old kids do. You have your adventurous one, Asbel. You have your scaredy cat one, Hubert. You have Asbel making fun of Hubert, but also being the, elderly brother as well by saying, hey, it's my job to protect you, but you pee the bed, and I don't know. It's just, it's like I couldn't tell whether he loved his sibling or he was there to torment his sibling.
It's
It's a
the
weird
sibling
relationship going on
dynamic.
there.
They're like hate love. You pick on them.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. And up on this hill, they meet a young girl. Um, and she doesn't seem to remember anything. The classic Japanese trope of amnesia. And Asbel immediately is like, you know what? You can stay with me, and I will protect you until you get your memory back. And of course, everyone else is like, what? Okay, I'm glad you made this decision without us, but are you sure you can handle a person? And you had Sharia, the childhood friend, who's like, wait a minute, Aspel likes another girl. My life is now ruined. So, what did you guys think about this whole like beginning part? Like, other
I
than
forgot.
that, it's a very Japanese trope.
I forgot. Doesn't he take Sophie back to his parents and was like, "I'm gonna watch her, take care of her," right? Doesn't he say that to his mom?
Yeah, yeah, and
Hmm.
his mom and dad are like, "No, you can't even. You're not responsible for any of this stuff." And
I
then
just
it's just funny because even Sherry is like, "Well, like if your parents won't allow you to take care of her, what are you gonna do?" He's like, "I'll still stay with her forever." She's like, "What? Forever? Oh my god!"
Yeah.
My hopes and dreams dashed.
I am just surprised. I don't know. I don't think anyone should have trusted Asbel to take. He's so young. I'm like, why would you want a kid to take care of a human? A human.
Hmm.
Girl he found. I was like, there's no way he could be responsible for her. So I already knew it was a bad idea. I was like, this is a
Hmm.
little kid. He doesn't know what he's doing. Uh,
Yeah. So while he's getting into mischief, we find out that he is going to be having a visitor who his dad told him outright, I do not want you seeing this person at all. Which of course, rebellious little Asbel's like, I'm gonna jump in through the window and meet this new guy first thing. And we run into a timid young boy named Edward, who seems to
Richard.
be a very thank you, Richard.
I was
Why did
about
I
to say,
say
who's
Edward?
I
Edward?
think Edward is his JP name or something. I don't know, but yeah, it's Richard.
Gosh, I know I must have been playing something recently that had an Edward in it. I don't know. Richard Edward. It's one of those kingly
Right.
English
Names.
names. Hmm.
Maybe
And
Dragon
so
Quest.
There we go. That could have been it. All right. So Richard, a young boy named Richard, who is kind of a pessimistic little kid. He's like, you guys don't want to be friends with me. I don't trust people at all. And, you guys are better off to just like do some other stuff without me. Um, and so now we run into well, we get Asbel, of course, being like, "Nope, you're now part of our friends group, and you're gonna come to this cliff that we always keep running off to, even though we shouldn't be running off with you, because everyone told us not to, and for a very good reason. Because what happens when they get to the cliff?
They fall off, right?
Well, they get ambushed by
Close.
Richard's protector, Bryce,
Yep.
That's
because
right.
he doesn't like Richard. He would rather kill Richard to
Mhm.
usurp the throne.
Yep. Apparently there's some family drama going on, and Bryce is on the opposite side of that family drama. And so you managed to defeat Bryce, but at the cost of falling off a cliff. Um, but somehow you all end up safe. Like you fall, but no damage has occurred, and they all make comment about that. And you climb up the cliff and you make your merry way back home, where everyone freaks out that you were gone with the prince, and they're like, you know what? Bad idea. Let's bring him back home. So now you're on a journey. The prince is gone. Um, Hubert is also going to Verona, the kingdom that Richard is the prince of. And Asbel, of course, is like, you know what? We're gonna go off on this journey and say hi to the prince again, and also see, Hubert, even though we were told to stay home.
Yeah, don't they have to take a boat to get
Yep.
right?
Yeah,
I'm like,
Yeah, they
it's
gotta
like,
take a
oh,
boat.
these
The boat
kids
has
just
child fee. Okay.
hey,
where are
there's
your
this little
parents?
boy and this
I
little
don't
girl.
know.
It's cool. We'll just let you on the boat. You have money. Good enough.
That's pretty much it, right? Guess probably.
Hmm. So you get on the boat. You end up going over to Verona, and while you're there, you're like trying to figure out a secret way to meet Richard, because you can't exactly go through the castle. But did they run into Richard outside? I'm trying to remember what happened here, because they were told to meet Richard at the monastery, the passage in the monastery, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So Richard says there's a secret entryway near by the cathedral. They say,
Hmm.
Go there. I'll meet you there." And they end up waiting for several million hours, whatever. They get there like in the afternoon, and it takes until nighttime for them to realize,
Mhm.
oh, something's probably up.
Mhm.
That's right. That's right. So they go into this catacomb where they see Richard lying like on a altar. Oh yeah, they also ran into Hubert, who goes on the journey with them. Um, and as I think they ran into Asbel's dad too, and he was like, "You don't listen to me. We're going home, the next tomorrow. But until then, do whatever."
It's
So,
not very
anyways,
good
they
at
go.
grounding him.
Yeah.
He's really not, because this is like the third time he told Asbel to just stay put, and Asbel just does not listen, and he drags Hubert with him. And Sharia, what was Sharia doing? Sharia was visiting a doctor, so she's somehow, in the town too. It's like everyone's like just happened to be in this town right now.
Mhm.
Yeah, big old quinky dink.
Yep. So they get to the catacombs. They find Richard lying like on an altar, and they find this like black creature, the shadowy creature, like kind of creeping up on them. And so they end up fighting this creature who essentially murders every single one of your characters. Like, literally murders them. And Sophie, the only one who kind of still has any energy left, kind of uses the last little bit of energy to attack. And that's kind of the last thing we really know. She's gone, and everyone's still kind of injured inside this cave. Fast forward to chapter 2, adulthood.
Woohoo!
So,
7 year time skip.
yep. Oh no, we do know what happened. But everything blanked. Asbel blanked out, and then when he woke up, he found out that Hubert was given up for adoption.
Yep.
Just
Mm-hmm.
another very random thing, because apparently they were going to fight over lineage, and they didn't like. It was kind of like a weird excuse that I think the parents had.
His dad
We don't want
apparently
them to
didn't.
fight.
Yeah, his dad did not want them to like have to debate or fight over who takes the Lord of Want title
Hmm.
when he passes on, and he would rather put Hubert up for adoption and make Asbel the Lord, just so there was like no complications or anything.
You gotta wonder though, would that have really been the case, just kind of given the like dynamic between Hubert and Asbel? Like I mean I think it was good in the long run that Hubert got separated because his character kind of came back as a badass,
Oh yeah,
with that
Mm-hmm.
inferiority complex of I need to be better now. Um, but like at the same time, it's like I really don't think like Hubert and Asbel would have like fought
Well,
over
wouldn't it have
who
gone
had
the
the.
As sorry, wouldn't it have gone the Asbel just because he's older?
yeah,
Or
You
did
would
I?
think.
Yeah.
You would think.
yeah. It was probably just
So,
to prevent long term,
Turmoil.
yeah,
Hubert
turmoil,
gets
repercussions,
resentment.
consequences.
hmm yeah, resentment, which Hubert obviously had later on in the game because he was given up. Oh man, I feel kind of bad. I mean, that kid was like getting tormented by Asbel in his journey, and then he's like, "Guess what? Your parents don't love you anymore." He's I can see why he grew up the way he did.
Hmm.
So we find that out, and then Asbel, of course, is like, you know what? I don't want to be the Lord either, so I'm gonna go to night school. And then he goes off to night school, and now we get 7 years
Mm.
later.
I think
So,
his motivation for wanting to become a knight was because he feels he failed to protect anybody, especially after
hmm
the what happened with Sophie. He was like,
Mm-hmm.
"I'm too weak for this. I can't have this happen ever again. So I'm gonna become a knight to protect everybody."
yeah, that's exactly how that worked out too. It's he was guilty, or he did feel guilty because
Mm-hmm.
he felt like if it wasn't for like he understood that if it wasn't for his like brashness. Sorry,
Thunderstorm.
thunder.
Yeah, we can see the lightning in your window. It like lights up the whole window when there's lightning.
Nice. I'm glad I can entertain in the background. Yeah, it's it was because of his antics that, you know, he got all of them in trouble, but also at the same time, like what would have happened had he not done that? Like what would have happened to Richard in that regard? Um,
Mm-hmm.
so it's interesting food for thought. But yeah, as Asbel now is a teenager, or he is now 18 years old at this time. A good old Japanese trope where you're now an adult, and he is kind of finishing up his little last mission before he graduates as a knight with his Captain Malik Caesar, and this takes place kind of in the woods, and you run into this like interesting wolf character who had a shield that no one else could break, but somehow Asbel is had the ability to break it using this mysterious power that he kind of developed after Sophie sacrificed herself. Um, then you end up going back to the town where you, I believe you run into Sharia when you're out there in the town.
Yep.
And she's like, hey, um, something happened to your dad. And I needed to tell you this. But the enemy nation attacked. Your dad was killed in the attack, and we really need you to come home right now. So Asbel picks up and leaves. He goes to town, and he's like, "I am going to become the new Lord of Lant because that's what my dad would have wanted to. And it's probably the only thing, the best thing I can do now to help my family and Sharia and uh, yeah." So the story's been kind of straightforward so far. It's nothing really
Mhm.
big has like twisted or nothing really twisty has happened. Um, trying to remember when does he meet Sophie again? What happened that got Sophie? Do you remember anything here, Josh? Where like how did he end up running into Sophie again?
Yeah. So he's he's trying to like figure out what to do with Laurent because his father passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, one of the neighboring factions decides to invade Laurent, and I think they're like, we have to go put a stop to this. So like they start running to it, and then they find out that this faction has like these like war tanks,
That's
and
right. Okay.
it turns out they can't stop the war tanks, so they lead it to the launch to the hill, and then that's when Sophie happens.
That's right. Sophie comes out and she protects them from the tanks. Like they managed to knock one tank, but then there's like a whole mass of tanks that then come by, and
Yep.
it looked pretty grim. So now, they're like, "Wait a minute. This is Sophie, but this Sophie does not have any memories." So Sophie just kind of like she has this familiarity, but she's not quite sure who these people are. And so Lant, or not Lant, Asbel Lant decides, brashly again, I am going to protect her until she gets her memories back or figures out
Mhm.
who this person is, because it may not be Sophie. We saw Sophie die, but yet it looks exactly like her. Like, exactly like her, down to like the same age that she was when they saw her before. So they decide now because after that attack that this was their best chance to push the enemy back. So then they go and they try to bring like a little sneak attack through the side cave to get behind the enemy lines. And this cave was kind of where you fought your one of your favorite bosses.
Slime boss.
Hmm. How'd that go, Taylor?
Not good. It's, I feel like we died like 20 something times on this boss. It was so difficult because up until that point I feel like we weren't having any issues. And then that boss, because that's the one when you would kill it, it would like into like
Even before you
It,
kill it, like
yeah,
every time you knock down a certain portions of her health or the boss's health, it would spawn 2 to 4 slimes. And then, yeah, if you didn't manage the slimes during the fight, you would just get overwhelmed easily.
mhm.
because the slimes also created more slimes, and it got ugly really
Yeah.
fast.
And they took a long time to kill on chaos mode, like the little slimes. So, like Josh was
We
saying, if you
yeah
couldn't,
we were on hard
Oof.
mode at the time, but
oh sorry,
the
yeah.
the thing with the higher difficulties too is the enemies have way faster cast time. So on the higher difficulties, it'll be like instant cast, instant cast, instant cast, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can just get chain stunned. even on hard mode, that's what
Hmm.
happened with us too, because all the baby slimes could start casting as well.
Yeah, it was slightly difficult on moderate, but not quite as difficult as yours. I think I did have some characters die, but I at least like survived that encounter, but like just survived. It's
Uh,
probably one of the most annoying fights. Like it's almost like gatekeeping the rest of the game. Once you get through that one, a lot of the other fights are fairly easier.
And
But that's definitely like the first major challenge.
yeah, the slime boss is like it can be an eye opener. Like if it's too much, depending on your difficulty.
Hmm.
Like you might be in over your head, depending. Thankfully, though, um, when you die and you retry, you can lower the difficulty if need be. So they do give you the option to, but it's like if you're
Hmm.
determined like us to stay on the hardest difficulty, then it's like, well, just gotta try again.
We're
yeah, I
doing
was
this
being
like we did.
I
It's
was
like
trying.
we're
I was
doing
being
this
like the
back.
loser at first because when I think after we died like 10 or 12 times, I was annoyed. And I was like, "Can we just lower the difficulty? I don't wanna do this anymore." But Josh wanted to keep it on hard, and I was getting grumpy because we had died a million times, but it was very satisfying when we did defeat it. And I was like, "Wow, it is
Then it
possible."
gets worse with another certain boss that we'll get to later.
Yeah, I think the funniest thing was, like, after we beat that boss, I think I opened up Twitter and this one guy I was following was also playing the remaster, and I was like one of the first tweets I saw, and he said, "This is fun," and it's just photos of him dead against the slime boss. I was like, "I just went through that, dude." Like, so
uh, yeah. Well, after all that struggle, you get to the other side, but you find that no one's there because while you were sneaking behind the enemy lines, the enemy decided to make a full frontal attack onto Lant itself again. And so now you have to run all the way back to Lant, where you see your troops getting decimated, and almost all hope is lost. But then your other neighboring kingdom jumps in to the rescue with a blue hair lieutenant leading the way with a cool ass double bladed sword and
Mhm.
a pair of pistols. And you realize, wait a minute, this really cool knight, he was your little bro, Hubert. Now Hubert Oswell. And Hubert had some choice words to say to Asbel, once things finally calmed down, and to Asbel's mom. Like, holy crap. But, I kind of see where he's coming from, but he was kind of like a little bit of a jerk there.
I think the funniest thing about this part particularly was when Hubert's army shows up to help him. Asbel's like, "Oh my god, that's Hubert." He's like,
Hmm.
"Whoa, Hubert, it's been so long." And then one of his dudes is like, "Lieutenant General, stuff's over here." He's like, "Whoa, Hubert, you're Lieutenant General? We gotta catch up and stuff." And it's like, dude, we're in the middle of a war right now. Save that for later, Asbel. What are you doing?
uh, you think Asbel would have learned something in his Knight Academy, but he just like reverted right back into Asbel again.
Yeah.
Hmm. So
That's one of the
Hub,
main annoyances people have about Asbel is like despite the 7 years time skip, he seems to have not grown at all. In fact, it looks like it feels like he became dumber.
Oh.
uh, it's got to be the clothes. All those belts are a little too tight, and
Yeah.
restricting the blood. Can we talk about that outfit for a moment? Like, what is with that white getup that he has? He's like a medieval Elvis, but he's also got like this belt fetish all over his arms.
Yeah, it's funny because we played throughout, like, almost pretty much the second we got a character, we put them in, like, a costume. So
Yeah.
it's
So
like
yeah, because the remastered version gave you like access to all the paid DLC from the PS3 version.
Hmm.
So the second we were able to unlock the costumes, we just threw them in costumes.
yeah, so it's like it just made it funny because like when characters would appear in cutscenes, I'd be like, "Oh, I forgot what their outfit looked like." Like Richard, especially, we gave Richard what Judas or whatever his
Yeah,
costume
yeah.
was with a skull on him or whatever. He just looked so silly. And whenever there was a cutscene with Richard, I was like, oh, I forgot he even looked like that normally. um, so I don't really have an opinion on Asbel's costume because I feel like he was never in the
I mean,
like
yeah,
costume.
he's not wrong though. Like it's like a weird Elvis type looking outfit with a bunch of like medals or
Yep.
belts on his
Saturday
on his
Night
his arms and
Movie.
Yeah.
shoulders.
Yeah. It's just like belt buckle, belt buckle, belt buckle, belt buckle, belt buckle, all the way down to a sleeve cuff. So it. The costumes are definitely some of the more unique ones, I would say. Maybe not like Tales of Legendia unique, but these ones were pretty unique.
It's even weirder
Uh,
considering he's supposed to be a knight. Like, what kind of
yep.
knight wears that outfit?
I don't know. The
Oh,
same kind that has a knight wear the same knights that Hubert wears and Malik also wears. Apparently, like they all had costumes that just seemed very impractical.
Yeah.
And I love that Hubert kept on calling out Sharia's costume.
that was so funny, like constantly.
It's just like the constant skit. Hubert, what are you looking at? Hubert, it's okay. You can talk to me. Tell me what you're thinking. Your skirt is too short. What?
I even made a comment about this in my notes. It's like because later in the game, there's a skit where uh Sherry is talking about like pumpkins in the snow, and, like they must be super sweet, and Hubert just keeps eyeing her, and she's like, Hubert's been staring at me ever since he joined the party. Like she's asked him, Hubert, if you have something to say, just say it. Don't keep it bottled up. And he's like, well, if I may be blunt, your skirt is far too short. She's like, what? He was like, your thigh is exposed way too much. It's a distraction to everybody in combat. It ruins basic public decency. She was like, stop staring at me. And he was like, well, then dress better. Dress more appropriately. Like that.
I'm not gonna lie, Hubert was probably one of the few characters that had a good head on his shoulder. As blunt as he was, at least he had the knowledge to kind of keep the party surviving
Yeah.
between him and Malik.
They were definitely like the level headed of the group. Like they would always strategize with each other like, well, should we do this? How about we do that, et cetera, et cetera.
Hmm. Yeah. So, unable to establish dominance here, Hubert basically tells Hasbel to hit the curb. That guess what? You just showed me that you can't protect Lant, so I'm gonna need you to leave, and I'm going to be the Lord of Lant until further notice by order of the president of Strata.
Yeah, so fun fact about this fight is uh they tried to allude that you can beat Hubert because Hubert's like, if you can beat me, then I'll rightfully acknowledge that you can be Lord of Lant. But
Hmm.
it turns out you can't actually beat Hubert. It's a forced loss. If you get him to 0 HP, his HP changes to question mark.
Really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's hilarious. The game is like, oh, you thought you could do it, huh? Well, sucks, people suck.
I just figured at some point he uses his special attack and just reduces you down to zero, just
Yeah,
like that. Or at least that's how my story went, at least. Like, oh hey, I'm getting some damage. Oh nope, nope, nope. He's not letting go. And oh, there's a special attack. All right. We
yeah. He
clearly
did the
won this
exact same.
battle.
Yeah, he did the exact same thing to me on hard difficulty. He like gets one hit in, I'm stunned, and just one shots me. I'm like, okay.
Hmm. Taylor's just looking like, mm, do better, do
Asbel, you
better.
stink.
Yeah. So Asbel decides to go back to Verona and see if he can, or he and Sophie decide to go back to Verona, and they find out that when they get back there, that apparently there was a coup in the castle, and the king was murdered, and so was the prince. So Asbel is like immediately is like, no, that can't be right. We have to go into the tunnels and see what's going on. So you get through the tunnels and you run into a man who is kind of kneeling after being injured. But you find out that that is your good old friend Richard, not Edward, Richard. Also, there's a fun little skit that kind of plays off a skit during the childhood one. If you played that, actually, did that happen during that part? I think that yeah, that happens during that part. So in childhood, if you try to push this wall, Asbel gets really mad at it. And he swears vengeance on the door.
That's right. He vows revenge on the wall.
And
And he
then
runs and he
so,
runs to the same wall as an adult and he just casually pushes it. He's like, man, was it always this easy? I suck.
uh, yeah. So I that's probably one of the good things about this game is it does a lot of good callbacks to like previous scenes that are very easy to miss, but if you catch it, it's kind of hilarious.
A lot of the skits
Um,
make the game way more enjoyable because they're just random
Mhm.
stuff or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like you could like make or you find a discovery and the skid's like literally nothing about that discovery. It's like, okay, that was a very random thought that just happened here.
Yeah.
hmm So now with Edward in tow, you got your
Richard.
friend and your friend's son of a why is Edward on my mind? Um,
Richard's
Taylor,
evil
you're
twin
taking over.
brother, Prince Edward.
Prince Edward. It was Edward the entire time. That is the
Can't believe
spoiler
it.
twist.
Finally, the story's good again.
uh, yep. So Richard needs to go and visit his uncle at was it Graysdale?
Yeah, yeah, Grail's
Yeah,
side.
Grailside. Thank you, Grailside. And so you join him on a journey to Grailside, where you do run into the uncle. And he's like, "Okay, we can build up our army here, and we're gonna go reattack and take over the kingdom again." And we're starting to kind of see Richard kind of lose it a little bit. Oh, before we even do that, we have to go underneath a fort, and that is where we run into our final party member, uh, Pascal, a very interesting, unique, like genius type that also wants to get very handsy with a 13-year-old girl. So it's a little weird, but that's just how these anime tropes work. So what do you
Yeah.
guys think of Pascal?
Um, I didn't like how she joined the party. I don't know why. I thought it made no sense why she joined us. Like when she joined us, she's like she didn't know anything about us and she's like, I'm just gonna tag along. And I was like, why? Like, why are
Why?
you
Because
joining us on our journey? Like,
Yeah, she was like, I
why?
just feel like it.
she wants to touch Sophie. That's
I
the whole
guess
purpose of her
so.
journey.
Yeah,
I
like
am
the
I
whole,
following
guess
you
the
that's
around.
whole,
true.
yeah, the whole reason why she only wanted to join was because she was like, oh, I saw like this hologram of Sophie or what looked like to be Sophie, and I want to join you guys so I can get like, I can find out more details about this Sophie girl.
hmm
And of course, Asbel and Richard are like, yeah, I don't fly with this, but
Mhm.
you can come for the time being.
Just don't touch Sophie.
Yeah,
Stop. No. Uh, I will say that Pascal was a much needed moment of levity in this because the game was getting kind of serious at this point. With you know Asbel being kicked out, everyone's basically dying, and Richard, Prince Richard, gets kicked out of his castle. It's just like a very like downhill. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know.
yeah,
It's just like it just got sad and just kind of depressing. And then you got
yeah,
Pascal, who's just like that ball of energy and just cheery, and
Mhm.
just she was a much needed energy for that party at that time, in my opinion.
yeah. Pascal's kind of weird because like she's supposed to be like the comic relief of the group, but she kind of
Mhm.
gets one noted into being the oh, I'm just here for the technical stuff that no one knows what to
Yeah.
do.
Mhm.
The fact that she seems to know everything that's going on in this game, but like no one else does. Why haven't you tell me? Oh, I just didn't think of it until now. It's like, really?
Yeah,
Okay. Now, I think one of my biggest complaints about this game is that the game does not really have any character development in it. Like, a lot of these characters are very one-toned and they
Mhm.
don't evolve a whole lot. And like even characters like Sophie, like her character she's always going through this inner turmoil throughout her journey, and even at the end, it's still like she wants to do what she wants to do. I don't know. A lot of these characters just don't feel like they've evolved or grown or just make the journey just seem more. I don't know. Maybe I'm
memorable.
also just like I've just recently finished Expedition 33, and
Mhm.
that is like the definition of how characters should grow in their game, like in
Mhm.
terms of character growth. And this game just definitely did not have the character growth that I was
Yeah.
hoping for.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say now that you've brought it up, like when you think of other Tales of games, like Abyss is like one I think
Yeah.
of. Like a lot of characters in Abyss had a lot of growth from beginning to end. Even in Symphonia, some of the characters go through so much from beginning to end. And you're right. Like when I think about these characters, I feel like they're the exact same at the end of the game as they were at the
Hmm.
beginning. Like I feel like they didn't really have development.
yeah. This game leans very heavily into the one note tropes, like oh, Asbel is power, friendship through and through the whole way. Pascal's
Yep.
supposed to be the comic relief and the advanced technological girl the whole way through. Like it's Cheria is just the wife for Asbel, and that's it.
That's pretty
Childhood
much her
friend.
whole
It's yeah.
personality. Yeah.
Like no one really grows. Like Sophie kind of gets character development near the end of the
Hmm.
game when she starts like having the realization about stuff. But
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, no, I will take that back. One character did grow, and maybe that's why I like that character the most, and that's Hubert, in my opinion, because Hubert went from being just a complete asshole to an asshole, but understanding why, characters work the way they do. Like, he went from ice cold to warming up to people.
yeah,
So,
Hmm.
like, out of all the characters, he definitely grew, but like, no, everyone else just did not really feel earned in their character arcs, I
Hmm.
guess. Anyways, so yeah, we're taking the journey back to the castle now that we have everyone and an army. And King Richard, of course, is he's starting to like show some like a mean side to him. And when we get to the fort between the kingdom's castle and um, uh, Grail's, why do I keep
Grailside.
forgetting that? Grail's Hide. Thank you. the Grailside and the Kingdom, the fort in between, we see that Richard gets attacked, and it looked like a very fatal attack, but he manages to get up, and then he goes berserk on that night. Like he just slashes and slashes, and you just like get that Simpsons meme going on where he's like, "Stop it! He's already dead." Going on.
Richard's like, "How dare you? They keep beating you up. How dare you?" And the dude's long dead. And he's like, "How dare
I
you?"
I know that shocked me. I don't know. He just kept going at it. I was like, Jesus Christ, this guy's like gonna be mutilated like by the time he's done. Like crazy.
Yep. So something is definitely not right with Richard, and you take over the fort. You run into your old friend Captain Malik, who you have a duel with, and you beat him. And Richard is like, "Okay, I'm going to kill everyone who went up against us now." And your characters are like, "Nope, nope, nope. You know what? It's good. Let's just hold them hostage. We don't need to be killing these guys. They're unarmed. They're just prisoners of war now. They were following orders." Richard, of course, is like, "You know what? I will let them live, but this is on you, Asbel. We're like no longer friends here. You're going to go into like the back of the army now and not hang out with Richard anymore." And we finally get to the castle. We fight the uncle. The uncle gets murdered again by Richard. And Richard decides needs to bring peace to the world through any means necessary. And so the next step would be to invade Lant for some reason. It's like, you know what? We're now going to attack my best friend's town, and also who's supposed to be an ally, because that was a deal that my uncle made, and now that he's dead, I'm just going to attack them. And your character's like, "Please let me go to Lon for you and talk to Hubert and make this all go away." You get to Lont and you talk to Hubert, but you find out that Richard never trusted you to begin with and brought an army to attack. And that is where you have your first fight against Richard.
So the back up a little bit, into the lead up to fighting Cedric, you run into one of the knight's captains called Victoria, and you have to fight
That's right.
her. And she's technically considered one of the like first difficulty spikes in the game because she hits really hard, and then this is when you get introduced to enemies being able to mystic art you or do special attacks. And on the higher difficulties, these will just straight up one shot you. And
Okay.
we struggled on her for a bit until we beat her. But after we beat her, there's a skit on this in the save on the save spot. There's a skill on the save spot before you fight Cedric where Richard brings up that Cedric poisoned his father and then tried to poison Richard. And apparently, it turns out he actually did poison Richard, but this otherworldly thing that's possessing Richard apparently has like some kind of healing abilities and prevented the poison from taking hold.
Mhm.
So it's like it starts like alluding to some stuff about Richard in the future.
Yeah, I mean, we know
Hmm.
there's something weird going on because, again, like we saw him get stabbed or slashed, and yet he came back out of that, and your character's like, "Dude, that wound should have been fatal." And, Richard just gets up and he's like, "Look, see? No wound right here."
Yeah. And then on
Eh,
top of him being poisoned and not actually dying from the poison, it's like, hey, what's going on here? He's
Hmm.
taken
mhm.
two fatal things and nothing's happened to him.
Also, we had the moments where Sophie accidentally touched Richard, and it hurt Richard like a
Mm.
lot.
Hmm.
And like he yelled and screamed at Sophie, which absolutely like scared everyone in the team. Like, wait a minute, don't be blaming Sophie for what this is, and we don't know what happened. But Sophie's kind of getting the feeling that there's not something is definitely not right with Richard, and it has something to do with her too. But she
Yeah.
doesn't know it yet because memory loss.
Yeah. And then when you fight Richard at Lant and you beat him, all of a sudden he just starts exuding like this dark, evil energy out of nowhere and just starts beating everybody up. And Sophie starts
Hmm.
eluding like this white light energy, and it's like, what is going on here?
Yep. So we finally managed to drive Richard out. But we also have heard like news that the president is not happy with how Hubert has been handling the town of Lant. Apparently, one of the hopes to being in Lant is to get the Crias ore from like the mines, and Hubert hasn't been exactly cooperative in forcing people to mine the stuff. Like he's trying to be passive to the town, and the president is apparently getting impatient with that. Well, not necessarily the president; it's someone else that's getting impatient. Hubert's adopted dad, Mr. Oswald, and so Hubert kind of sends you on an errand because otherwise Hubert was going to have to leave Lant. But Asbel's like, you know what? Let me send the president a letter explaining the situation, what's going on here in Lant, and how Hubert is actually being a good leader and not a bad leader. And Hubert can try and keep everything like good right now because this whole thing between Richard and also the country to the north, uh, Fendel, Hubert's like the best chance that Lant has to survive any attack right now. So it's up to you to go to Strata in Hubert's place. We are finally getting into a region that is not something that we have been to like in the last like 5 times, which I think is another one of my complaints of the game is all the backtracking back and forth that like the first half of the game focused on. How did you
Mhm.
guys feel about that?
Not having access to fast travel was a bit annoying about that too. Because yeah, you're always going between Gaunt to Grailside to Verona, back to Lawn, back to Verona. You just kept going back and forth
Hmm.
the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, like that Lant Road is like engraved in my memory right now. Like, just go to the left. Up there is the hill. Keep going. It curves, and now you're walking into the Fendel camp. But the seaside caves over here to your right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now, though, we get to go a different path, and we get to go to a region that's not a grassy field, and that is Strata, the desert region. So it's very refreshing to finally go somewhere new, in my opinion. Uh, so with this, you kind of you find out that there is a monster right now in the desert that is upsetting um, trade routes between the towns. And what was going on here? Yeah, and so one of your tasks is to kind of go and see what's going on with this creature, and you eventually do, and the creature swallows you, and Cheria kind of has a meltdown because of that. Because you find out you're still alive, but you have to work your way out the creature and exit only tr- one the only one-way exit that you kind of can go.
Yeah, this part
So
was funny, right? Isn't that where they
Yeah, yeah. Where,
everyone
Sherry,
starts
where would they
talking
go?
about
Shit, if it's out the butt, Sharia. Let's go,
Yeah.
Sharia, out the butt.
please stop talking about the bud. Yeah.
You
So
guys are
eventually
disgusting,
you
but Sherry.
Yep. So there's definitely some humor going on there. Eventually you get out of the Rokagon. You find out that there was like a parasite inside of it that was like causing causing it to
Go
rage.
berserk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh man, this parasite bot. This was the one. This is the one, Taylor. This is the one where if it died, it went to babies.
Okay, that was the one I was yeah.
Yeah, this is the one that Taylor was getting annoyed at because when you killed the mother, she was split into like I don't know 7, 8, 9 babies, and by then we were on evil difficulty, and the babies were just spam casting like freaking crazy. You couldn't do anything,
Mhm.
and we probably died like I don't know 30, 40 plus times. We were probably stuck on this boss for an hour.
Jeez.
And it got to the point where even Taylor was like, Taylor and Jonathan were like, can we just lower the difficulty? And I'm like, well, we could, but we'll see what happens because we got close a couple times.
Mhm.
And
Hmm.
eventually we ended up did persevering, but it was like, holy crap. this was the biggest like wall for us.
Mhm.
But you persevered and you kept that evil mode going, and you eventually would get the trophy for playing the game on evil mode.
Mm-hmm.
I hope. Unless you have to go through the entire game in evil mode. Do you know how that
No,
trophy works?
yeah, so thankfully the difficulty trophies were only based on killing the final boss on that difficulty.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So when we killed the final boss on Chaos, we got the Chaos trophy. And then when I was doing cleanup stuff, I went back and killed the final boss on Evil, Moderate, Hard for the other
Hmm.
trophies.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
yeah, so thankfully you did not have to replay the game.
Mhm.
Well, that's good because I don't know. That's one of my. I love hunting for trophies, but one of the things that, like, when you set up a difficulty meant that is only unlocked by beating the game. And then it's like, okay, now play it on this difficulty. And it's like, I don't want to go through the game multiple times. I got
Yeah.
other games I have to
Mhm.
play now.
I kind of
Mhm.
understand why they made it locked to only the final boss because they allowed you to freely change the difficulty at will from the start of the
Hmm.
game all the way. So it'd be kind of hard for them to keep track of, oh, well, did you change it midway? Or did you
Well,
like
yeah,
whatever?
I know a lot of other games, though. It's like the second you change it, you forfeit the trophy.
Yeah.
So,
Mm.
yeah. Well, speaking of forfeit, you eventually make your way all the way to the kingdom, or the kingdom of Liberate, Liberte, Liberate.
You Liberte.
Yeah. And you run into the president who you found out you ran into several times on your journey as this old man wandering through the desert. And he was grateful that you saved them from the Rakagon and, took your letter and ex- found out that he was getting false reports from Mr. Oswald. And Mr. Oswald was kind of pissed off about that. And also, Hubert came back because I guess he didn't trust. No, what? Hubert somehow had to come back, though.
Yes. So how it worked was you get to you Liberte to hand and
Hmm.
you hand over the document, and he was like, okay, well, I will grant this request on one condition, which was figure out how to stop the Rockagon from going crazy.
Yeah.
So when he did that, he was like, okay, I'll fulfill your request, and then he allows Hubert to join you because he stations his own men at launch while Hubert is out.
Hmm. Yeah, but like Hubert was uh in the town though, like before like that even like finalized, if I remember.
Oh yeah, he got called back for something. I forgot what it
Yeah.
was, but yeah, you end up running into him when you go meet the
K-
president.
Yeah, because he was part of the journey to go and check out their um, what are those things called? Why am I drawing a blank here? The Valknus, the
Oh yeah, the
Valknus
Valkyrie's
Krius.
Krias. Yeah.
Yeah, because there was rumor that something or they needed to check out the Valkynus Krius for reasons, and when you go there, you find out that or you go there, everything seems like it's in order, but then Richard magically shows up on flying dragons. And Richard then drains the Valkynus Krius of all of its energy. And then he goes his own way, which this was the Valkynus Krios of water. And so this temple that actually had water all surrounding is all gone. And apparently now water is going to be drying up in this desert because of what Richard just did.
Yeah. You Liberté was known for like the being like the main hub of the water Krias. And
Hmm.
now that it's gone, they're all like, well, we have nothing. Everything's gonna dry up. We're gonna die as a nation now.
Hmm.
We had to stop
I really,
Richard.
yeah, I really liked U Liberte. Like, it was actually a very pretty town.
Oh yeah, yeah. Even the music was
Hmm.
nice too.
Yep. And I know Taylor really liked U Liberte too because of a certain house that was in that town.
Is that the wine? The wine
Yeah.
houses? Yeah,
The
I
Yeah.
red
remember
wine
that.
house.
We went there and I'm like, this is my place.
Hmm. Yeah, it's
I even asked Tara about this too because there's a red wine house and a white wine house, and I'm like, "Hey Tara, which one do you prefer?"
Def the red wine house. I'd be in there all the time.
uh uh, did that house have like any purpose other than just like were there any side quests later on that had anything with that house or was it just there
No,
for
they were just there. If you talk to the NPCs and like check the drawers, you would get some like food materials and whatnot, but otherwise they were just there to be there.
just be a
There was
red wine house and a white wine?
yeah. There was one side event though where like if you visited the Oswald family house, you find out that Hubert's father was planning on trying to overthrow the government and take down the president. And then Hubert's like, I will not stand for this. And you beat the crap out of his guards. And he was like, I give up. I saw the error of my ways. Please forgive me.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's like, dang, his father was not happy about this at all.
It's just I'm Mr. Oswald was grooming Hubert to, kind of be that next one and next in the line. And
Yep.
Hubert just was unfortunately too virtuous to and uncorruptible to follow his adopted father. So that was 7 years of grooming down the drain.
Yep.
All right, so now we have issues. There's one Valkanist still left, and we know that Richard is going to go for that Valkanist as well. So you get special permission to sneak into Fendel, going through a little island that is neutral ground, but home to a battle tower. Did you guys try the battle tower at all, other than for the story purposes?
Uh, we did it later in the game. So
Yeah.
when you get to the top, you fight the Guardian, and the Guardian's like level 75 or something on Chaos difficulty. And by
Hmm.
the time you get there the first time, you're only like in your 20s or your 30s, if even. So, um,
Massacre.
yeah, it would have been a massacre. But an interesting thing about the Guardian is it's a running thing from across all like most of the Tales of games where there's cameos from other Tales of characters that show up,
Hmm.
and the Guardian you fight is some dude from Tales of Rebirth. He's like, oh,
Yep.
I'm looking for something, but I must defeat you to go find that something. So you go beat him up. But it was kind of funny because when he was like, "Oh, I'm looking for something," Sharia thought he was looking for a lost lover.
Yeah.
He was like, "No, it's not a woman." He was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm just a hopeless romantic." pay no, pay no need to me.
Oh, Sharia. Yep, he was looking for a sword.
Yeah.
And that's about as far as I got in that quest. I couldn't figure out where that blacksmith was that I was trying to find for him.
So so the sword is like a weird thing. There's I think it's like in Verona, you run into this kid in the inn named Joe,
Hmm.
and he has two other siblings. He has he has his sister is like a chef, but she's a really bad chef. Everything she makes is just god awful.
Hmm.
Joe has become used to the bad food. He thinks it's good now. And then his brother is the blacksmith. And the problem is like you have to follow them throughout all the towns. And
Oh no.
it goes from Verona to like um Stablesvoli, Uliberti, Fendel, whatever,
Hmm.
etc., and it circles all the way back into Lond. And when you talk to them in Lond, that's when you get the sword. But that's like at the end of the game.
Wow. That
So it's an end game thing.
is the sword good? Like, are you able to use it, or do you just
No,
end up giving
it's a
it to the
key item
guardian?
only. No, it's a key
Okay,
item only for the dude, which is unfortunate.
got it.
But when you do beat him, he gives you a sword called Levitine. That's like
Hmm.
one of Asbel's better weapons until the end of the game. So
Yeah, I did
it's
have that
something.
sword. That was a nice one.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I went through the tower again, using that one character, and then it's like, okay, now you fight that same swordman, but with one character. I'm like, no, that isn't happening, and I got my ass kicked pretty
Yeah,
hard.
so that's a weird thing because like you don't know any better. There's
Hmm.
no indication about this, but like if you go through it again a second time, you fight him 1v1.
Yeah.
But what they don't tell you is you can fight the other two cameo people in the post game dungeon. When you beat them, if you go back to the arena, then you fight all three of them together with your party.
Oh, okay, with the party. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So
But
there's no point in fighting him 1v1 then,
no,
other
it's just
than
bragging
like
rights. But the
maybe some
funny,
good.
yeah, but the funny thing is when you beat the three cameo people and you refight them, then it's 1v3.
Okay. Well, that is probably not something I'm ever gonna do. So I am glad we have you on here, Josh, so you can tell us all this interesting thing
Yeah.
that I don't have to do anymore.
I'm hoping we'll be able to do that with our playthrough.
Mhm.
So it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
Taylor's gonna be sitting there with the popcorn during that 1v3 fight, right?
Well, no, thankfully you when you fight them all together, it's you fight with your full party.
Oh, I was thinking you were gonna fight them 1v3.
No, no,
You were
so
gonna
you
take
fight
up
them
that
1v3
challenge.
after you beat them initially.
Yeah,
But there's no reason to do that other than bragging rights.
do it, Josh. You know you want to.
I don't know, man. On chaos difficulty, I don't know.
Do it and
We'll watch
record the
him like
video.
attempt a couple times.
Yeah.
Then Taylor could pick up the Switch too and be like, okay, let me know when you
You
win.
have fun, whatever.
Hmm. All right. So we end up going through Fendel. Fendel kind of gives us a few little side stories here. We find out that it's a very poor country, very poor country. Like most of its citizens are like barely hanging on and like eating dirt. And we get a little bit of insight with Malik's character and finding out that he is actually originally from Fendel. We also get some insight on Pascal's character in that she is part of a tribe that people have thought has long disappeared. So, we get to meet Fendel's or Pascal's sister, who absolutely hates, well, not necessarily hates, more like a sisterly jealousy
Yeah,
kind of hate,
jealous.
I
She's
guess.
jealous that Pascal always does stuff better than her.
Yet Pascal doesn't seem to put in any effort to do so. It
So
just
uh,
comes natural.
the funny thing is, like, when you first get to Fendel, there's a peach tree, and there's a skit with the
Hmm.
peach tree, and the skit is like Sherry, Sophie is like, "Oh, I've seen this before," and everyone's like, "Sophie, you're getting your memories back," and she's like, "This reminds me of Sherry's butt." Sherry's like, "Well, that's too
Sophie,
much information."
but look, it's the same shape.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, it's the same size, same shape."
Well,
It's like
that's what
it
Sharia gets for wearing a short skirt.
it was like, dang, they had us in the first half. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, Sophie's gonna remember stuff," because when she said the Peach reminds her of something, they thought, "Oh, maybe she was born in Fendel." And
Hmm.
then she mentions the whole Sherry's butt, and they're like, "God dang it, we thought we had something here."
Uh,
There's also a skit too where, like, when you're going to where you're going to the run downtown Velenik, there's like a
yep,
giant crater.
yep, I remember that
And
one too.
yeah, and they're like, "Man, what caused this?" And Pascal's like, "Oh, I did this." And they're like, "What?" They're like, "Yeah, it was like
System
a Korea
drift.
shard of like this big. It just exploded." And it's like, "Yeah, that's my fault." They're like, "Oh my god, Pascal, what's wrong with you?"
Uh, little did we know that would be a plot point for the whole Fendel arc and trying to
Yeah,
stop Fendel from using a very unstable Valkanus Creus that would cause a boom, bang, crater, pow type catastrophe, in
yeah.
Pascal's
You end
words.
up finding out that, like, if they kept going with the Valkanus Creus experiments, it would have blown up the entire country. It
Mhm.
would just
Yep.
wiped out everything.
Hmm. Uh, Also, we find a old friend of Malik's, Captain Kirk, and then we kill Captain Kirk.
This
It's a
fight
very
sucked.
yeah, he
So
was tough.
yes, yeah. So this fight is widely regarded as the biggest difficulty spike in the game for very good
Mhm.
reason. And we were on chaos by then, and holy crap, this was bad. Because Kirk was so strong that he could easily just one shot everybody, and then he would keep summoning his
Yeah.
two gunner reinforcements, and we thought they were endless, but it turns out he summoned them like 4 or 5 times, and then eventually they stopped getting reinforced. But it was a disaster because he would always just run up to somebody, just like one shot them, and start going after somebody else. So Taylor and Jonathan were constantly playing like healing res, healing res, while Men and I were trying to.
Was this the one where if we didn't keep up on killing the gunners in time, he could summon two more and we'd have like three or four on the field? Or was that a
Yeah,
different
yeah.
boss?
There was one
Okay.
part. Yeah, there was one time where we were trying to kill the second gunner, and he summoned two more, so we had three gunners on the field with
Yeah, I feel
Kirk.
like at that point it's like game over.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we learned like we were like we have to kill the gunners like ASAP because if he summons more, it's like you're screwed.
yeah, because the gunners would always interrupt you. So if Taylor or Jonathan was trying to heal or revive, the gunners would just shoot them and either stun them or interrupt them. And it's like, well, we can't do anything now. We also
Yeah.
have Kurt just running around murdering everybody.
Did we have to use the all divide on this one?
Yeah, so this was the fight where we had to use an item called an all divide, which has all damage done
Mm,
by you and your opponent.
yeah.
And it was the only way for us to win because then he would not one shot us.
Hmm.
Yeah, I hate that item so much just because of the fact, like, yeah, it helps you, but now the fight goes on for like ever. I
Yeah,
had to use it on one of the dragons, one of the Krios dragons. It was like, because the Krios dragon just kept on one-shotting my team too. And it's like, okay, well, at least now I won't be one shot, but now it's going to take me an extra 30 minutes to kill this dragon.
yeah.
Hmm.
It
It,
was
it was
annoying.
kind of funny because one of the nights when Terror had to go, me, Amanda, and Jonathan were messing with one of the dragons, and and obviously the dragon's supposed to be post game content. But we went in when we
Yeah.
weren't even done with the game, so the dragon would just start one shotting us for like 13,000 damage. So it was just
Hmm.
it was just a funny thing. We're like, oh, we could use an all divide, but then we'll still get one shot. So it doesn't do
What?
anything.
Oh, jeez. Oh, that's not good. No, there was, you know what? There was another time I had to use the all divide as well, and that's the side content where you find the ship and the broken doll in it, because the doll would then like self-destruct, and without that
Oh
all divide, like it basically just wiped out your party. Like there was
yeah,
no other way to dodge it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I had fun with that one because I wanted to see if Manatee and Jonathan could figure out the gimmick to that fight.
Hmm.
I don't even remember
Didn't.
what it was.
It was
I
that
think we
one where like there's
No,
like that yeah
I remember what you're talking about, where if you get it down the low, we thought we could kill it and it has infinite HP and then it blows up and kills everyone, right?
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, but I'm just saying right now I don't even remember what we did
Oh,
to defeat it.
so I didn't think about the all divide solution, but the gimmick was because on Chaos he explodes for like 20,000 damage. You're not surviving that.
Hmm.
So um, they tried to figure out the gimmick, and I was like, okay, the solution is you turn down the easy mode, give everyone the 50% damage reduction titles, and you auto win. Because then it only does like 2,000 damage. But I didn't think about the all divide solution, but it's just funny.
The all divide lowered it down to like 6,000,
Yeah.
so it killed like three of my characters, but luckily Asbel had some high HP and was able to survive that blast.
Now the worst thing about that fight is it's not considered a boss fight. So if you went straight to it without saving, you had to reload your last save data. Whereas with
Yep.
the at least with the remaster, they allow you to retry all fights.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's like if you didn't know about it, you there goes like progress out the window.
Yeah. No, that's the worst thing, is to lose hours of progress in an RPG.
Yeah,
Since like I don't know if I want to go through that again.
yeah,
Hmm. All right. Well, going back to the journey, we we end up killing Kurt, and it's tragic as that felt. It also, like, we only knew him for like 10 minutes, so I felt kind of like
yeah. They tried to
bad
play like this
for
tragedy story about him as like the only thing we know about him was he was Malik's friend, but he was evil. That was it.
Mhm. He was Malik's friend. He led the resistance. The resistance lost. He joined the main army,
Yeah, he joined like the
and
government or whatever.
hmm and then later we find out that Malik and Kurt both like the same girl, and somehow, somewhere along the line, she ended up dead.
Yeah,
It's
so there's some side events in Fendel while you're in there
hmm
that go into Malik's past, and and they basically explained that like they wanted to overthrow the government, but it was too risky to do for obvious reasons. And
hmm
then the girl Lorelia is apparently the daughter of like the president or the captain of the
yeah, the Chancellor.
area, the chancellor, and she was
Hmm.
able to get secret documents about the location of the Valkyrus Crius, what they're planning to do, whatever, etc., etc. But because they found out she did that, they ended up getting her. They ended up killing her because they didn't want her to expose everything to the world.
Wait, Malik and Kurt did, or
No, so she was planning
like?
on. So she was trying to give the documents to Kurt and Malik,
Hmm. Yeah,
and she ended up
I saw
getting
that
caught.
memory.
Yeah, she ended up getting caught by the chancellor's guards, and um, they're like, "Well, because you did this, we have to kill you." So they end up shooting her down.
Okay. I did not see that scene. I guess I didn't catch that one.
Yeah, and then it's kind of haunted Malik the whole time. There's a couple
Hmm.
skits in present time where he brings up how he felt he was too weak to protect the one he loved.
Yeah. No, I didn't catch. I kind of got the gist of that, and then later on, there's a quest to find Kurt's pendant, and you find that's also like Kurt's pendant was where Lorelai ended up being buried,
Yep.
and so then Mal kind of makes a little selfish like request to Lorelai. It's like, you know what? Don't wait for me while you're up there. Don't fall for Kurt.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. So we lose another Valkanus Krias to not Edward, Richard, and he goes off to a place called the World's Eye, which leads directly down to the core of the planet. And Edward makes a giant cocoon there, and so now you have to figure out how to break the cocoon. And to do that, you learn about a shuttle that can fly up to the planet Fodra, because that is apparently or the creature that is possessing Richard is apparently from Fodra, if I remember that conversation going.
Yep.
So you do these things where you go around and you activate these laser guns that are supposed to shoot a laser beam at a precise location in the aquasphere, which is the atmosphere. But the planet's got this interesting globe where it's like surrounded by water. Like the sky has got like a water
Yeah.
ocean.
So the thing that's annoying is this isn't explained at all into the post game
Yeah, it just
because
kind of
yeah,
comes.
yeah, it just exists, and then like
Mhm.
there's several cutscenes that show it, and even in certain cutscenes you can see like this metallic thing rotating across the sky, and you're all like, what
Mhm.
is this about? But yeah, you don't learn anything about this until the post game, which is kind of
Yeah.
annoying.
Because I remember I brought that up when we beat the game. I remember asking you, and I was like, "Was it ever explained or whatever?" And you were like, "Oh no, that's something you learn about after the game." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I don't like that."
It's like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
So,
Also, when you go to stop Richard at World's Eye, uh, Sophie gets stabbed, and she ends up
mhm,
like becoming unconscious. And
that's right.
one of the reasons why they wanted to go to Fojo is because Pascal is like, well, I heard that Fojo apparently can heal Sophie, so we have to go to Fojo to save Sophie.
Oh, Pascal, and your knowledge of things that you shouldn't have knowledge of.
Yeah.
And it just ran. Oh, by the way, here's a plot device to, push the plot forward. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So that's
yeah.
why you had to go to Fodra. That's right. Gosh, I am so not prepared for this. uh, Josh, we are really glad you're with us on this
it
journey.
just further shows how forgettable the story is.
Yep. We're already forgetting about it right now. Yep. So you end up going to Fodra, and on Fodra you find out that there is a colony of like lifeless dolls, and there's one humanish character named Emerald, and she knows exactly what Sophie is, and explains that Sophie was actually a weapon developed strictly to fight off Lambda,
Yep.
the creature that is currently plaguing Richard and trying to fuse now with the core of your current planet. So she says that in able to rescue Sophie, you need to go to the lab and this lab and get her repaired. And you do that. And while you're there, you kind of learn a little bit more about Lambda. And you find out that he was found by another doctor, and the other doctor was kind of raising him to
Mhm.
be a human, but everyone else was like, no, this is a research subject. And so you kind of get a gist that something happened that made Lambda like mad, and that's what caused Lambda to destroy the planet, apparently. We don't find that out though until we get um, back to the main planet. But before we do that, Emerald is like, you know what? I am going to join you here to make sure that Lambda can get fully eradicated. So you ended up going back to the cocoon, where the ship now has this power bit that can like pierce through the core or the cocoon shell. You go in and you end up fighting Richard again, and you win, and you start separating Lambda. But then Emerald is like, "Nope, I do not want you to kill Lambda because I want to use Lambda's power now to do all the things that I wanted to do with it the first time."
Mhm.
Yeah, did you guys kind of figure that Emerald was actually kind of a bad guy here?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jonathan predicted this like frame one because the second um she joined us, he was like, "Okay, I'm going to predict Emerald is evil." And I've already played the game. Amanda played the game with me, and we're all like, we can't
Hmm.
say anything, obviously, spoiler reason. But I was like, dang, it's like, yeah, it's pretty predictable, but it's just funny that she shows up out of nowhere, and it's like, oh, evil. Who could have seen that
Mhm.
coming?
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's like, I'm gonna join you. Oh, really? Yeah, to help you destroy it. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like
Yeah,
you could tell from the way she was talking about Sophie on the get-go, you were kinda like, "Yeah, no, she's sus." She does not have good intentions.
yeah,
Yep.
and yeah, you find out that the only reason why she wanted to possess Lambda was to bring Folger back to prosperation, like prosper Folger back to the way it
Hmm.
was, and then like
Yeah.
become a goddess and whatnot. But Lambda was like, nope, you stink.
Yeah.
The
It's like,
Emerald fight,
you.
yeah, the Emerald fight was kind of
Yeah.
interesting though. I was expecting the
I
struggle on
hated that
this.
fight so much.
Yeah,
I
so
struggled.
yeah, so when
She,
the interesting thing is like she did not mystic art us once at all.
but she has
Um,
that barrier that causes damage whenever you like get near her.
yeah, so when we were about to fight her, I was like, "Hey, Jonathan, this is gonna be the most annoying fight for you ever because you played Sophie." And yeah, of course, every time she moved, she had that aura that would always stun you and knock you back. And I'm like, this is
Hmm.
annoying. Thankfully, because Amanda played Hubert, Hubert has ranged attacks, so Amanda was able to stun Emerald, and then we would just go in and start beating her up. But um, when she went to her Elf Burst, she did not miss the guard, which is a surprise. But she would cast that like giant like black hole
Hmm.
attack, and on Chaos, that's a one shot. You can't survive it. And Amanda was able to parry dodge the whole move while everyone else died. So we actually
Oh,
survived
yeah.
the move. Yeah, and
Yeah. Amanda said
I
she
was already
remembered.
dead. I was already dead, so I couldn't do it. But I was like, "Oh, Amanda knows the tech. It's not over yet."
Yeah. Yeah, I was proud of her, but yeah, Amanda had played the game before, so she was like, "Yeah, I knew this was coming," whereas me and Jonathan had no idea, so we're just sitting there and it's like, we, like, died, and I was like, "Oh, okay." I don't know what's going on.
We're gonna have to fight again. Wait, no, no, we win, we win.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a it was a surprise to me because when I replayed
Yeah.
this on the PS3 version, the AI would just die 25-8 just
Hmm.
every time. And I'm like, ugh. But yeah, thankfully we did not have to redo the fight. We were able to one and done it because of Amanda surviving the thing
Yeah.
and life bottling
Uh,
everything.
yeah, and then same thing, she didn't have summons. 'Cause I think I mentioned that before, but pretty much any boss that didn't have minions or summons, we were able
Mhm.
to do on the first try. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
it was
First and second
amazing.
try, basically.
Mhm.
Very cool. Well, you do manage to beat Emerald, but Emerald, is like, well, I'm just going to absorb the power of Lambda and, just beat you that way. Lambda's like, no, no, that's not happening, and disintegrates Emerald.
Her death was pretty brutal because doesn't she like scream or she's like in agony and then
Yeah.
he's like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh,
This is also like the whole
Hmm.
illusion thing from Richard's skit. Because when you beat her, she just fully heals, like nothing happened.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And it just further confirms that, oh, Richard was poisoned, but because Lambda was inside Richard, it eradicated the poison. And also the same thing
Yep.
with him being fatally stabbed, was
Mhm.
fully healed. So it's
Hmm.
like this, like it's like an interesting callback as well.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, so Lambda is now by itself again, and the party or Sophie is like, okay, I'm gonna kill it. And of course, the party's like, no, you're not, because if you do, you're gonna end up dead. And then all of a sudden, a weird twist happens where Richard like reaches out and is like, Lambda, join me again, so that you don't die. And it's like, Richard, what are you doing? We just saved you, man.
Yeah.
Don't do this. And so Lambda and Richard become one again, and Richard grows a really cool set of wings and flies off into the core. And now you have um, after this, you go and you do your kind of like you go back to the hometown and you have those like final, like, this could be the last day of our lives. So we're all gonna like meet each other one on one and just like say things like, I'm
Yep.
grateful that you're part of my team, or this is what I've learned through my journey. And it's like,
Yep.
no, you didn't. Don't lie. And yeah, then you have the option of doing a whole bunch of side stuff at this point
Yep, this is the
because the
classic
world
Tales
opens
of
up.
this is the classic Tales of fashion where you get access to the full game with your flying machine or whatever,
Hmm.
and you can just fast travel through the whole thing. There's a billion side quests that open up that give you like that allow you to get access to like the best armor and weapons in the game or post game
Yep.
and all this
And
other stuff.
don't forget the absolutely necessary beach scene,
Oh yeah,
beach or hot spring scene that every anime game needs to have.
Every Tales game.
Where Yeah, it's like where all of a sudden it's like, okay, let's look at the girls in their swimsuits. Ha ha ha, man. I'm gonna, be all weird now with my companions. Which
yeah. So
they kind of do a very interesting twist with that one though in this game.
yeah, so this one was kind of weird because since they gave you all the paid DLC for free, you could get access to the swimsuits right off the bat.
Hmm.
So we already knew what they looked like, but we haven't done the beach scenes yet. But
Oh,
it's
you
yeah,
haven't done the beach scene?
no, because like after we beat the
Okay.
game, then like stuff happened, like work related stuff happened with Mend and Taylor, so we haven't been able to touch the game since then.
Okay. Ah, man, this is a spoiler cast, but I'll probably let you guys experience that one because it is a pretty funny scene.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean
with
I've
that.
seen it, but obviously they haven't yet.
Yep. So just for Taylor's sake, I won't talk about it, but it's worth watching. So yeah, at this point, there is a whole bunch of side quests that you can do, and like it's like th- I guess this is another one of my complaints with like old school JRPGs. It's just you have no clue what's still available for side quests and what's not unless you literally talk to like every person and like go to towns in like a certain order and able to get things to happen. Like,
Yeah, the first two times I played this with Amanda, we didn't do the side quest stuff.
mhm,
So, because I didn't know like what to do or whatever. So when we were playing through it, I had a guide open the whole time while we are doing all the stuff. And then it's the same thing with when I was replaying it on the PS3 for the third time. I had a guide open for the whole thing, and I was like, "Dang, there's a lot of side quests that become available at the end of the game. It's kind of crazy."
Hmm. No, I think if I go back and try and finish up that bonus chapter, I'd be interested to see if those side quests are still available in that chapter because it almost plays not necessarily. It didn't feel like it plays exactly on your save file. Like it almost felt like something else.
Oh, the
Like it's
future
its
arc
own
stuff.
story. Yeah, because you don't continue on uh, in the game after you beat the game. There is a additional chapter, but you have to go in through a different menu to get to that chapter. It's not actually tied to your save file.
Yeah,
So I'd be interested to know if like it's in a way is it tied to your save file and like the stuff that you already did before that chapter is that, done and how does that affect the game going forward?
yeah. So this is a weird thing because the future arc was introduced in the PS3 version, which is why you have to
Yeah.
go through a different menu to access it. But you load up your clear save, start future arc, and then when you save on the future arc, it overrides your main file. But when you beat future arc and save, it reverts you back to the your main save, like at the
Okay.
before the point of no return. So
Okay.
it's a weird thing. Like it overrides your main save with the future arc, and then when you beat future arc, it overrides the future arc with the main save again.
Interesting. So yeah, it just leads to that notion that the future arc is really just DLC to the
Yeah,
game. Like,
yeah.
okay. All right. Well, we reached the end of the game, guys. Now that we've done all the side quests that, we could actually find, we decided to go down this really long shaft called the Garda Shaft, and we finally get to the core of the planet. A big old
Westolia.
glowing ball in the middle of the planet, which somehow everyone can survive without being crushed to death.
Blowing up and
Because,
everything.
and we fight Richard one last time, and then Lambda separates from Richard, and we fight Lambda, or Lambda Angelus, I believe is what
Yep,
the form is called. And once we beat that, we find out that Lambda can't die. Like all we did is all that we technically succeeded in is to put him back to sleep again, where he will eventually regain his energy and just do the same thing all over again. That
yep,
there is only one true way to kill Lambda, and that is Sophie needs to sacrifice herself. So she goes on and is like, this is what I have to do, you know? Goodbye, everyone. And then Asbel's like, no. And basically slaps Sophie's hand away and grabs onto Lambda himself and has Lambda fuse inside Asbel, where then Asbel uses the power of friendship, literally, to save the day.
the power of friendship and long expedition and it
Yep.
talking.
He basically talked Lambda to sleep.
Yeah,
He's like,
he,
Lambda,
he
I
really
can
did.
show
That's
you
the
the
funny
will of the
thing.
human. I can show you the will of human responsibility. Lambda's like, as soon as I weaken you, I am taking over your body. But wait, let me show you everything that humans can do. You have to trust. I know. It's like blah blah blah. And Lambda's like, you know what? I'm sleepy, so I'm just gonna take a nap right
I
now.
don't have enough power to keep doing this, so I'm gonna go to sleep.
But just know, I will awake someday. But till then, I'm just gonna give you a weird colored eye.
Yeah. The weird color eye is also another callback because like you find out that Richard had the weird color eye, and then when
Hmm.
Emerald took over Lambda, she also had the weird color eye. So it's
But
like,
it's just more prevalent on Aspel because Aspel has a blue eye, and
yeah,
now he has a blue and a purple eye.
yeah,
Mhm.
Whereas like Richard had a brown eye, which and small eyes, so it was kind of hard to see the purple eye.
yeah. Even it was kind of hard for Emerald too because like she had green eyes, but then like
Hmm.
purple eye.
Yeah.
But you only briefly saw the purple eye before she exploded.
Hmm. Yeah.
Exploded.
Before she got fried from the inside out
Yeah.
and spontaneously combusted. Yeah, that is definitely not a way I'd want to go. Uh, and so everyone lived to to the end, and that's it. I guess that's kind of how the game ends. Is that they all lived happily ever after until you
Yeah.
get to uh, lineage and legacies.
So what do you
Oh,
think of
then
the cutscene with the older purple girl and the kid that looked
and
like
the kid.
Asbel?
Yeah, it's like, well, that's obviously Asbel's kid, which, if you play Lineage and Legacy, you find out that that assumption is actually wrong. It's his
Yep.
grandkid.
Yep. It's a great grandkid.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
that
So
that was that was an interesting thing because like obviously in the Wii version they didn't have the future arc, so the general
yeah.
assumption was, oh, it's Asbel and Sharia's kid, but then the future arc proves otherwise, that it's actually their great grandkid.
Hmm.
That's a lot
Yeah.
of greats. So they're dead
Yeah,
by then.
yeah,
Hmm.
but it's also like
Yeah.
this like dread realization that Sophie outlived everybody.
And that was kind of one of the plot points of the Lineage and Legacy was like Sophie was like, "Am I ever going to grow up? Like what? Like all these people that I'm care for are eventually going to die off. What's going to happen to me?"
Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah. So I guess just to kind of spoil the last part here, there is a DLC chapter called Lineage and Legacy that takes place 6 months after,
yep,
and it basically, like I mentioned, it's kind of Sophie having like a little bit of an external like this dread
Existential
feeling.
crisis.
Yeah,
yeah,
existential crisis of like, what's going to happen to everyone. But while this is happening, monster attacks are becoming more frequent, and that is because Fodra's core has now somehow reactivated itself and wants to correct the errors that humanity did by wanting to destroy humanity. So that chapter is all about you trying to figure out how to stop Fodra's core from destroying the humans.
yep.
Yep.
Which we'll find out
It's a
tomorrow, hopefully.
Yep. It's an interesting little side chapter. It is eventually worth going into, but as we all kind of got tired of the game because the story really is, as you can understand, just very one dimensional, and the characters are very also one dimensional. Like
Yeah,
no
it's very
one
it's very
grew.
straightforward and linear.
Hmm.
Hmm. I mean, most of the character growth happened at the very end of the game, and it was mostly done through the villain. And it was we kind of just see how the villain, like his story, which honestly was kind of a tragic story. Like I do like that they made Lambda, not entirely evil. Like
Yeah,
there's a reason he couldn't trust people, and
Hmm.
like it's a sad story about how Emerald wanted to use him as a weapon and performed all these tests that caused a lot of pain for him and eventually killed the one person that actually cared for Lambda, like in front of
yeah,
him. So, yeah, he had reasons to be pissed off and not trusting. Oh, and then of course, like when he came down to the planet, and people started chasing him around, with pitchforks because he was different. And also Sophie also attacking him too. So it's understandable why
Yeah,
he just want to create a world without the humans on it. It'd be peaceful for him.
yeah. Because then he wouldn't like be hurt anymore, have his feelings
Hmm.
destroyed, stuff like that.
Yep. But luckily, he ran into Asbel, and Asbel saved the day with friendship.
Tried and true friendship.
Tried and true.
So a
The
little fun fact, yeah, a little fun fact about the final boss is when you beat the post game dungeon,
hmm
uh Lambda gets powered up and becomes Lambda Theos. And
hmm
the funny thing about him is in the game the level cap is 200. But for Lambda Theos, if you fight him on chaos mode, he's level 225.
Understandable.
So like you go fight him, he was like,
Dang,
"Yeah, you're weak from the get go. You're already at a
that's crazy.
disadvantage." Yeah.
Yeah,
Um.
that I love games where it's like you get a level cap. Bad guy has a level higher than you. There is no way that you will ever, overpower yourself.
Yeah.
So,
It's like it's up to you to overcome the big disadvantage through
hmm
means necessary.
What
yeah.
level are like the bosses normally? Like when we fought Emerald and Lambda in Chaos mode, what level were they?
So Lambda on chaos is 95, and I
Yeah.
assume Emerald was probably high 80s.
Holy crap. 95 to 225 is wild. That's a jump. What?
Well, I mean, it
Because
makes sense
old
because
school.
it also makes sense because the post game dungeon starts at level 100 and goes to level 200.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
Yeah, so that's gonna be
Whoa.
fun to do.
Whoa. Thing.
Yeah, that's typical. Like that's actually very typical of Star Ocean as well.
Oh yeah,
A game very similar. It's where the dungeon, like the post dungeon, is literally like leveling an additional 100 levels, unable to be able to beat it. It's a grind fest, and that's
oh
what
yeah,
people
yeah, yeah.
called post content back in the day. Yeah,
Yeah, thankfully levels aren't too big of a deal in Graces because you can overpower the deficient by utilizing the weakness system.
yeah.
But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
it's interesting to see like how the level scaling works with this game.
yeah. It definitely is a unique uh Tales game, that's for sure. Like I don't think I'm trying to remember if any of the other games used the CP system like this one did. How it like
The Zillia games use the CC system.
okay. But was that also tied to your normal attacks as well as your special attacks, or was that just special attacks?
Uh, yeah, it was basically a refinement of the Graces system because Graces
Yeah.
came out before Zillia, and Zillia just expanded upon it.
hmm Yeah, Grace's was Tales 13, I believe, in the timeline. And then that Zillia came out after Grace's did. And then Zillia 2. Yeah. So what do you guys think like could have improved in this game and make it like I don't know, what we kind of went over like we feel like the story was definitely kind of bland. Like do you think maybe if they added more to the story or maybe added more like made the world bigger, like maybe explore Foja a bit more, do you think that would have helped it a little bit or
I think for me it was just a story. Like I said, it was just very straightforward. I thought it was, like I said, very predictable. We were able to call everything that happened or predict everything that was gonna happen, and I don't like that there was yeah, I didn't
Mm,
like nothing happened that shocked me, I guess, or that like we didn't call ahead of time. So I just wish I had a more interesting story, a more engaging story, or wasn't so predictable, or if maybe they had like other side stories going on along with the main one or something. Like to me, it was like I said, it was just so linear and straightforward. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, I wish there was more plot twist or more shocking things going on.
Yeah, I feel like the problem
Mhm.
is you can't really fix the story without rewriting the whole thing
Yeah.
True.
because it's all about power, friendship. The friends are my power, and then it also doesn't help that like all the characters are very one note, so they just lean
Mhm.
very heavy into the bland story. So you'd have to
Mhm.
like completely rewrite the story and then rewrite the characters to match the story.
Mhm.
Yeah. No, for me, it just there wasn't anything like a lot of the Tales games had some very heavy themes, such as racism and genocide,
Mhm.
and this game played very safe. Like even the
Mhm.
world-ending like catastrophe, the only place you really saw that was maybe Lon, because Lon kept on getting
Mhm.
attacked by the monsters. But like
Mhm.
everywhere else, it's like, oh yeah, eventually our resources are going to dry up, or it the danger didn't feel as imminent
Mhm.
as, say, Tales of the Abyss, where the continent was starting to crumble, or the entire world was starting to crumble into uh, poison miasma. Like,
Yeah, crumble
Mhm.
upon itself. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. There wasn't
or
there wasn't really
mhm,
any sense of urgency with Graces because like all three Valkanist Krias get absorbed, and
mhm,
like when you go to fight the dragons, they're like, oh yeah, and several years from now the planet will die, and it's like, okay, well, why several years from now and not like within a few months?
Mhm.
mhm. Like, is there like one of those like you have to save the world at this exact moment, otherwise there's no setting or like stopping the chain of events that happens? Like it
Yeah,
it just doesn't. It's like, okay, why do we need to do this right this second? Why can't we like strategize or figure out a better plan than like just jump into the core and save the world through friendship? So, uh, it's it's I'm glad that Namco is bringing the Tales games back into the light again. Like, I do hope that because it is the 30th anniversary this year, that we'd be getting an announcement of a possible new one. Um, Also, it's been 4 years since Tales of Arise,
yeah.
so it'd
So
be nice.
the Tales theory is kind of funny because I told Amanda and Taylor this that uh earlier this year when Grace is released, the the main Tales of director was like, if I don't announce a new Tales of game by the like before this year's end, I will have failed everybody. I will have failed the company. I will have failed the fan base, the community, etc., etc. So he basically admitted that we're getting a new Tales of announcement sometime this year. And then
Mhm,
with the whole like remaster project going on, there's been a lot of hints going on that they're going to announce Tales of Abyss remastered.
mhm. I think I think that title just actually got renewed recently.
Yeah. And the funny thing was, after they renewed it, they re-aired the anime and they released a bunch of like acrylic stands of all the Tales of Abyss characters.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
like this is too much of a coincidence at this point now.
Mhm.
And then the Tales of Festival is next week.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, so it's like everyone's expecting like some big announcement to happen, whether it's like Abyss or like the Zillia duo or like a new um entry in the series or something.
Mm.
So
I wouldn't mind them remaking some of the ones that we didn't get here, like Rebirth or Innocence or
Destiny
Tales of
2.
Hearts. Yeah, Destiny 2.
Yeah, that's what a lot of people want for this remaster project is to bring the Japan only games to the West. Like
Mhm.
remastering these old games is fine because also you can't really play them anymore without emulation.
Yeah.
Like Abyss is PS2 locked, Grace's was PS3 locked, Zillia 1 and 2 are still PS3 locked.
Mhm.
Like it would be
It
nice
j
to bring all these to modern consoles and also bring the Japan only games over as well.
Yeah, like the PSP ones, sadly never got to see the light of day.
Oh yeah. So it'd be nice to
Anyways,
have like all this stuff happen.
hmm Haley, what do you want remastered, or would you like to see a new game?
Well, I'm excited for Abyss because my two favorites uh, are Symphonia and Abyss. Um, and I think Abyss. I don't know. I really like Tales of the Abyss. I think it's one of the best. So I'm excited for that one to be remastered because I think that'd be a great one for people who never got a chance to play it to play it. Um, I'm not too excited about a new one, like I said, unless there's co-op in it, because that's like our jam.
hmm
I haven't played Arise, but the fact that it's single player makes me have no interest in playing it. Um, so I am hoping maybe that was just the COVID thing Josh mentioned, because I know, they might have had to rush the game out or they had issues making it and stuff. So I'm hoping the next one will be co-op, and then I would be excited to play that one.
Uh, I think I can't remember if you're with us when I was talking with Amanda because I said um that whenever like with Jonathan's PC, if we ever wanted to replay a Rise, we were playing the co-op mod.
Oh, I wasn't there for that. That would
Okay.
be fun actually to play
Yeah,
through that
because like
together.
Amanda doesn't like it, I don't like it. I think the combat's the best in the series, but it's like I have
Mhm.
no reason to replay the game unless we play with the co-op mod.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
there's
'cause
that. But also when Arise came out, one of the directors even said that they wanted to do co-op, but COVID and also they wanted to try taking the series a different direction. The different direction kind of restricted it to single player experience, but they
mm,
know
hmm
that everyone wants co-op back. So we're really hoping the next game in the series brings it back.
mhm.
Now, would you want the next one to be kind of like the little more realistic approach that Rise went with, or would you want it to kind of go back to a more chibi style, like Symphonia and Graces? Like,
Mm.
I was fine with
Um,
Arise.
yeah, I think I don't want chibi style. I'm good with no chibi style, so probably more, I guess, realistic. You said right. Like Abyss was kind of more realistic-y, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
like
mean,
I liked how
so
it
was
was.
Graces,
yeah.
because Graces wasn't
Mm,
like the weird chibi style thing. You
well,
just
yeah, Symphonia was super chibi.
yeah.
Um,
Okay, maybe that's more of a graphic limitation. I was like
Yeah,
thinking
I
more
guess
like,
yeah, I guess the better question would have been like, what kind of art style would you prefer for the next series, for the
yeah,
next
I
game?
mean,
Yeah,
because Arise definitely had more of a different art style than like most of the other Tales games had. Like
yeah,
it was definitely more like the characters were more detailed and more colorful, um, versus the more hand drawn style of like Berseia and earlier.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we definitely talked a lot, and we're grateful for everyone that has watched and listened to us so far. So thanks again, everyone. And you can continue to catch episodes of the Boss Rush Book Club on the last Saturday of every month on the Boss Rush Expansion Pass podcast feed of your choice or on YouTube. And you can get the current show a month early, as well as voting rights and other perks for as little as $1 on Patreon. And finally, you can check out bossrush.net and find all of our content and our merch. So, guys, thank you so much for your time. Josh, thank you so much for stepping in and helping us out with the lore about this game. There's definitely no one else I would have turned to for this journey here.
yes, I was like,
hmm
please say yes.
Yep.
It
So,
was
thank you.
it was a fun experience. Like I've never done a podcast before, so something like this
Mhm,
was it was new for me. I enjoyed it. Thanks for
mhm.
having me on.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad we were able to make sure it was a pleasant experience. So, and Taylor, thank you as always for being my co-host and helping me out with this. It's been much appreciated, and I enjoy being able to play games with someone and be able to talk about them, afterwards.
Yeah, it's always fun every month. Like I said, I always get an excuse to play a game I probably would never normally play and stuff, so it's enjoyable.
All right. And for the rest of you listeners, thank you so much. And until next time, we love you. Goodbye.
If you want to see how you can become a Patreon producer, head on over to patreon.com/BossRushNetwork. The Patreon producers for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, Matthew Keel, Retrostoy, and Christian S. Thanks for your continued support of the Boss Rush Network.